Hello and welcome to a Horatio Story, Love Thyself. I'm Kite Cadet and I can't wait to start my first playthrough of this visual novel. I'm a really big fan actually of the Endless Space universe, and of course of Horatio. But without further ado, let's get started. It is impossible to dissociate my story from that of Horatio, the first of our name. The first beings to travel widely between the stars were known as the Endless. We know of no earlier form of intelligent life that moved between galaxies. Their history is glorious but above all tragic, though they unlocked the secrets of time-space, the stars and life itself. They were unable to master their own internal conflicts. What remains now of the Endless are strange, disjointed traces in the forms of seeds, of observatories, of experiments, of cities and worlds, and perhaps, though not all of this is clear or verifiable, in the forms of other peoples. Many star-faring civilizations have since risen to the fore. Some have fallen as well. Events in recent history have led to an explosion in the number of players on the galactic scenes. One of these, undoubtedly a major one, is Horatio. Once upon a time, Horatio was just a man, a simple trillionaire. One night, a vision came to him in the shape of a dream. It was the vision of an empire and eternal life. He left everything behind, venturing through the stars. Over the ages, he discovered many of the mysteries left by the Endless, and his knowledge and power grew. He created his first sons, and willed his empire into existence, a beacon of all that is brilliant and beautiful. Now the empire of Horatio flourishes, and Horatio himself is immortal, with a power to rival that of the Endless themselves. Some say they were living gods. They're dead now, though, while we thrive through our brother, our god, Horatio. Let's go towards the light. I think I hear someone. All the clones in this batch are to be decaying today. I know this is earlier than the original schedule planned for, but the schedule didn't plan for 2 patrol squads in the heartland of the Empire to go missing within a month. Just follow my lead, and the procedure will be fine. If you do well today, you might be promoted to Junior Lab Technician earlier than expected. This would be amazing, sir. Don't interrupt. Most of the process is automated, but contrarily to some of the clone hatching sequences you've seen in class, the final steps are still done by hand. There are procedures for which a computer cannot be trusted, and you have to rely on steady Horatio judgment. Back to our specimens. You will handle clone birth A through L. I'll do the other row. Pick one and get to work. Can you hear me? One moment I'm asleep, and the next I'm alive. My eyes struggle to adjust to the brightness of the room. It slowly comes into focus. There's a man in a white and blue uniform bent over me, with a bald, elongated head and a look of concern on his face. Hello? Ah, you're awake. Great. I have a couple of questions for you. He shoves the small holopad he's holding in my face. It's very bright and I recoil slightly, groaning something. He starts flipping through the pages when the other voices calls out. Come over please. I need your help. The man looks for a place to put down the holopad, then realizes his outfit doesn't have pockets big enough to accommodate it. Targus F-07, I'm talking to you. Get moving. Yes sir, coming. He looks down at me and ends up putting the tablet down next to me. I'll be back. He trots away and out of sight. I struggle to prop myself up on one elbow so I can keep watching him. He stops at a platform some distance away, on which lies a naked man. Another man, uniformed man, is standing nearby, looking at a side panel next to the platform. All three of them look exactly alike. Brothers? How can I help, sir? The uniformed man points at the naked form in front of him. This clone is faulty. The lights are on, but it seems nobody's home. Try to make sense of all of this. These people are clones of one another? What do you mean, sir? Well, it's obvious, isn't it? He can hear us, but he can't respond. Something must have gone wrong during the process. On the outside he's fine, but his motor or educational imprinting is flawed. And the result in this useless hulk? What good is it being beautiful if you can't make everyone proud? The cloning vets are near perfect, but every once in a while some other part of the pipeline procedures are a disgusting abnormality. Let's take care of him and chalk him up as a total loss. What do you need me to do? Simple. Take his legs. The man called Targus F-07 grabs the unmoving clone by the ankles and looks at the other clone. The latter has passed his hands under the clone's arms and pulls him off the platform with a grunt. We'll put the body in the recycling chute. This way we get the nutrients back. Think of it as his way of contributing. Both of them tug and pull haphazardly. Before long they're panting. We can't afford to show weakness at this time. Or ever. Everything and everyone is perfect. And beautiful. And in the Horatio Empire. It's a kindness we're doing to him when you think about it. I watch as they come nearer and realize that there are about a dozen other men on the platforms. All of them are in various states of lying down or sitting up, looking at the grotesque scene with mild interest. Every single one of them is a carbon copy of the trio in front of us. I catch my reflection on the surface and suddenly realize it. I too am one of them. A clone. Of them. A Horatio. It's a good thing we caught this now, so we can fix it before the ceremony. Our records needs to be perfect. Otherwise, we'll end up in a backwater station, decantling only he knows what. This is a small blessing, really. For you and me, for him, not so much. The trio passes in front of me, and for a moment my eyes lock into those of the faulty clone. Far from being dead inside, I can see fear radiating from him. He knows he's going to be killed off because he's imperfect. I sit up and try to figure out what these tests are about. I don't want to follow this guy in the recycling chute. Every time I think about what a memory test entails, I come up with a blank. I think that's the issue right there. My body's functional. I can understand what people are saying and think. But there's nothing of the memory and plans they mentioned. I'm a blank slate. Prop him up while I open the chute. I gotta do something about this. I turn around to look at the clone next to me, who's gazing about with an air of studied detachment. Our eyes lock and his expression shifts to a scowl. I haven't done anything to deserve it, although I've been fidgeting on my platform. What are you looking at, substrate? I rummage for a good comeback. All of these guys seem to hold perfection in very high regard. I know what'll shut him right up. No, your ugly can't be because he's perfect just like us, right? I mean, he's beautiful just like us, so it has to be the second one. I'm just wondering whose clone you are. Surely you can't be one of us. It takes him a moment, but eventually he gets it. He reddens and mutters under his breath. It definitely doesn't sound friendly. I realize we seem to be easily provoked and causing a scene might just be my way out. I pull my legs off the platform to do just that when I catch something about to fall off. It's the holopad Tergus F-07 has left by my side. Maybe there's some information in there that helped me cheat my way through the test instead. What should I do? Maybe we should look for more information. I'll go for the subtle approach. I sit back down and put the holopad in my lap. There are a number of tabs open. Medical procedures, inventories, the news. There's a tab that seems to be a serial called Forbidden Love. I press the button in front of the image that shows the resumes. The sound is off. Subtitles are on. I can only guess that Tergus F-07 is not as mysterious as he appears. The show is taking place in a richly decorated room, with draperies hanging off the walls, pieces of ornate furniture, elongated vases and tall chalices. Everywhere portraits, statues, 3D holograms representing me. Well, the me who's in charge. We seem really into ourselves. And right on cue, there's another me on screen. He's arguing about something with somebody we can't see. Two other Horatios come into view. One dressed as a soldier, the other in civilian clothes. The soldier is demanding a rebellion on a distant colony be met with force, while the civilian is offering a more measured approach, presenting it as magnanimous. The argument goes back and forth for a bit, with the main me, whom they call Prime, eventually making the call. He'll be magnanimous and offers the rebels a chance to redeem themselves. The soldier storms off, while the other guy sticks around and shuffles closer to him. They share a quick embrace before he slinks off. I fast forward a bit. The soldier comes back into the next scene, in some sort of parlor. Prime and him exchange some oblique remarks, and it becomes clear that in the shadows things are going to get pretty bad for the rebels anyway. So that's the way things are done around here. Okay. And then the soldier tears off his uniform, revealing a perfectly smooth chest. The two exchange a smoldering look. Their lips meet with passion and they fall to the ground. Oh. I hear footsteps approaching and I swiftly put the tablet back down. Tergus F-07 is coming my way. I rest my hands on the platform and do my best to look detached. I'm ready to play the part. Right. He picks up the tablet, swipes through it, then looks up at me. Right. Okay. I'll ask you a couple of questions, just making sure everything's fine. Let's get this over with, pal. I've got places to be. Settle down, please. This'll only take a moment. Looks like your motor controls are working fine. Let's tick that box and move on to the memory test. I'll make it short. What is the name of the first and foremost, our God, creator, and benevolent leader? The big forehead in the sky. The man of my dreams. It's Horatio Prime, right? Horatio Prime. Tergus F-07 looks at me and nods in approval. Okay. You're officially a fully functioning Horatio. Sit tight and wait until we've done processing everyone else. With that, he moves on, taking his holopad with him. Oh, that was easy. Yeah, actually, that was easy. I lay back on the platform and relax. Sometime later, the assistant comes back. Thank you for waiting. I'm gonna ask you to please head to wardrobe in the next room over, where you'll find your station uniform. Anyone will do. They're all the same size, obviously. After that, You will be directed towards indoctrination. This will be followed by diner orientation, and you will be shown to your quarters. Now this way, please. The door to the next room opens, and we step inside. And there's a few tablets at the far end of the room. Uniforms are neatly stacked and folded next to one another. We look at one another uneasily, until someone steps forward and grabs a uniform, looks at it warily and puts it on. We follow suit. It is some sort of green jumpsuit with 2 deep pockets. It closes with a simple zipper in the front. The uniform is a pretty snug fit and the fabric seems sturdy, yet comfortable. I notice there are pairs of light boots under the table, so I take a pair. They are a bit tight. I put my hands in my pockets and look around me, waiting for what's next. The wait doesn't last. After a minute, another door opens. The assistant from before is holding his holopad and peers inside. Okay, well, normally there's somebody else to show you the way to indoctrination. We're a bit short-staffed at the moment, apparently. There's a grumble from our neighbors at this lack of decorum. I have lit up a path on the holoscreens. It'll guide you there. Just proceed down that hallway to the concourse and follow instructions. Sorry about that. I shuffle off the room and hesitantly walk down the hallway, hoping that I won't get lost. The others are following me, although at a distance, no one seeming to want to take the initiative. They seem to be familiar with our surroundings, but not with the layout of the station. At least none of us has to pretend. I think no one wants to be the one going down the wrong way and making a mistake in front of the others. I've seen crossroads twice and stuck to the path indicated by an arrow on the wall screens. So far, so good. I keep walking. The others follow. Eventually, I hear a murmur in the distance, which grows to a distinct noise as I draw near. I see some bright lights in the distance, and a much more colorful environment. I step out onto a plaza, a cathedral of green and gold. There are columns and glass everywhere, with manicured trees and shrubs in every corner and overhead, an immense glass canopy. This must be the concourse. There are lots of other people here, all wearing the same jumpsuits as we are. Probably fresh new clones just like us. Even my jaded brethren around me are all murmuring amongst themselves in tones of wonder and amazement, as if talking out loud might make the wonders fade away. This way, please. The voice cuts through the noise effortlessly, and in a moment the conversations go quiet. A Horatio has appeared on an immense holoscreen, inviting us to move along. There are more holo projections in the hallways leading to... what was it? Indoctrination? That sounds unpleasant. Nonetheless, I follow the crowd. We meander through the corridors for a couple of minutes before we reach our destination. This is a huge room covered in rich materials, from the deep carpeting in the middle of the room to the paneled walls. There are long rows of white, comfortable looking seats, all facing a wall covered with an immense holoscreen. Low columns form arcades and run along the walls of the room. It's beautiful. A Horatio in a red suit is standing with arms crossed on a low podium in front of the holoscreen. He has a look of studied annoyance on his face. Once all of us are inside the room, he speaks up. "May I have your attention, please?" The crowd falls silent. His voice carries across the room, and even from somewhere near the entrance, I can easily hear him. "Please take a seat. Go all the way through the row. Don't just hog the center seats. You'll hear me just fine from the sides as well." And there's a bit of a rush forward from the new clone to do exactly the opposite of that. Soon enough, A cluster of Horatios are sitting in the prime seats and preventing the rest of the file from moving along. Oh, for his sake. Go around the audience and find a seat from the other side, and occupy the back and side seats if necessary. I position myself carefully in a spot at the back. I rather watch what's happening and do my best to blend in. The Horatio in the red outfit seems about to continue, when another moves in from the shadow arcade to the side of the room and climbs the step to the podium. His feet echo softly on the green marble tiles. The red Horatio closes her mouth and deflates a bit. The other one is moving pretty slowly, and from the envious looks of my closet neighbors, I can only imagine that it's on purpose. He dismisses Red with a casual gesture of the hand and a smile. Red Horatio leaves the stand. With a grin, the second Horatio turns to us, his cape flowing in an emphatic demonstration that he's there, that he's here, and demands our attention. When he speaks, his inflections are slightly different. I surmise that he probably spends a lot of time speaking in public. Thank you, Second-Rate Master Sergeant Extra Speed 12. That'll be all. To each and every me, welcome to Kappa Station, finest in the cluster. Your memory imprints do not cover the last couple of decades, since the last backup was distributed among cloning facilities in this quadrant. Therefore, a lot of the information you know, and the things you know, may be outdated. This is a crash course in what has happened while you were sleeping. Let's start with the most important thing, etiquette with regards to my person. You may address me as third-ranked estimate Grand Headmaster Radicar Atonus P02, and setting that only compromise initiative level and above station personnel. You may call me simply Grand Headmaster, or Master Eternus P02. In public, you will always address me as your likeness. Provided that the honorifics have been properly given and received, in a small setting, you may subsequently call me Sir. He pauses for a second. Now that this is covered, let us move on to secondary topics. First, your own identity. It is with great pleasure that I deem you all initiates. More specifically, your full name will be First Level Initiate Mergris, since this is your facility of origin, and then your chosen name, along with your decanting birth and badge number. You are badge 21 of this administration. And there is the holopad on your desk. You may use it now to approve your suggested name or pick another name. I look at the holopad resisting atop the desk. The screen reads First Level Initiative Mercus. Placeholders F21. Is that? Do I really want to be called by that name? Placeholders F21. Or I'm sure I can find something better. Oh, maybe we can find something better, right? I rake my mind for an idea. Could I randomly type in letters? Wait, no, I'll be stuck with that. Better find something discreet so I can blend in. I press the delete button. The words enter your name appear instead. Enter your name. I am... Wait, what am I? Kite Cat? Is that an appropriate name for an Horatio? Yeah, let's see what happens, right? The screen flashes green for a second after I hit the submit key. Okay, my name is First Level Initiated Mercus Kite Cat F21 now. Hope it brings me luck. The Horatio on stage must have some way of checking our progress, because after a moment he continues. As initiatives, you need to not address Category X personnel or unsightly species you may encounter directly. You may find the closest underling to do that for you. Be aware that there are many new species that have been added to his glorious empire. Shenglis aside, there might be some more aliens around the station. Do not be alarmed, they should all be tame. Generally, the rough and unwashed masses are kept away from their betters, but several client species are permanent residents aboard Kappa Station. It is entirely possible that you'll come across some of their representatives over the course of the next few weeks. Should you need to communicate with them, they are familiar with our speech and will attempt to replicate it to the best of their ability. Most of the new species we have encountered have proven to be just as disappointing as we expected. He smirks. He flicks his wrists and pulls his belt buckle free. With a wave, the buckle lights up, revealing a small holopet. Fancy. Now for a brief overview of what has happened in the last decades. Relationships with the so-called fledgling United Empire remain very cold. Representatives from their young leader, a male human called Celavus, have refused vassalage under the auspicious leadership of Horatio himself. Similarly, they have repelled violently several attempts at claiming outer planets for our empire. Proceed with caution. Relationship with the robotic insectoid hive known as the Cravers are still at an all-time low. They have eaten the last dozen envoys, as well as the ships they came on. The colony of Haker was deemed lost after we had to vitrify the surface in year 10,191 after him. Their strength would make a great addition to the Empire, but at this time we are not pursuing efforts any further. Similarly, we are currently not in speaking terms with the Sovereign Republic. The diminutive known at all have recently jumped the gun and seized the system of Ingress and... Wait, this happened centuries ago. He flicks through several screens on his holoscreens in rapid succession. All this information is completely out of date. Who messed with the geopolitics database? I'm surrounded by complete idiots. I swear. Never mind this. He turns off the holoscreen, sighs, then continues. I guess I'll be doing this from memory. It might be a bit patchy. Something that your own memories will definitely encounter too once you start living in your body for a while. Something to do with having millennia of memories of him. Moving on, you might be wondering why so many of you are being decaned at this time, and for what purpose. This station is home to Horatio Academy, where the best and brightest of his siblings come from all across the Empire for further education. The best of these, in turn, get a shot at joining the other academy, led by a Vordiani male called Isyander. Ah, the Vordiani. Life-sucking ghouls who live in gigantic space arcs and prey on the defenseless souls of our brethren. Except this Isyander fellow, who fled them and founded the academy, a place that has grown into immense power. They have knowledge and mastery of dust. Your purpose, if you end up among the chosen few, is to go there and acquire some of this knowledge and power and bring it back for the glory of his empire. Finally, the why so many of you at once. Well, 2 of our exploration vessels disappeared recently. They contain the brightest minds of this generation, our best shot in getting the knowledge we're seeking. They are gone now, and just a very few short weeks before Horatio Prime himself is due to review our academy cadets. Horatio Prime himself is coming to Kappa Station, and we have no cadets. The shame this would bring to me and the whole station would be unbearable. Anyway, you've got about 3 weeks to become these cadets. There will be extensive training. There will be classes. There will be etiquette courses and lessons of the latest courtly dances. There will be no failure, or else. Now, if you have questions, keep them for your instructors tomorrow. Time for you to get sustenance and retire to your personal quarters. He turns away and walks out the same way he came, under the arcades and out of sight. This Eternus P02 guy is something else. Guess that's how people are around here. He has a certain allure. Yeah, he has a certain allure. If I understand him correctly, I have 3 weeks to not only pass for a normal Horatio, but to become an outstanding specimen, worthy of sending on to steal secrets from a powerful alien entity. Gotcha. People have already started getting up when the other ones come back. Master Sergeant something something, I believe. Attention, please. You are now going to be provided with dinner. Follow me to the mess hall. Without waiting, he turns around, walks down the podium and off into the direction opposite the one we came. My brethren and I quickly follow. Finally, we get there. Compared to the concourse and the room we were just in, this is a rather drab place, somehow halfway between a spaceport and a hospital. It doesn't look like a place to enjoy dinner much as a place to eat, a place to feed oneself. Some of my, I guess, classmates are already in line, and a few have already sat down to eat something I can't quite identify yet. I have decided to say classmates, since I can't settle on whether we should be feeling any kinship towards one another. It does feel strange to hear brother in every other sentence, and I guess calling us cadets might be getting ahead of myself yet. The headmaster's speech didn't really help normalize the situation, really. Someone bumps into me and I realize I'm holding up the crowd. I get in line. I grab a tray and slide it on the rail. There are some odd kitchens utensils available, but I'm not sure what purpose they serve, so I compromise by taking a spoon from the lot. Upon closer inspection, I realize it's a spork. The future looks amazing. I look up at the people serving us food. They are all Horatios too, wearing some sort of jumpsuit and look pretty upset to be here. One hands me a bowl or something I don't quite recognize, serving me a mean look at the same time. I'm surprised by the direct eye contact, and before I know it I'm saying, "Hello, thank you?" The Horatio lunch person is as surprised as I am, and frowns before saying back, "Hello, enjoy your food." I've never before seen anyone be so begrudging in saying thank you. But then again, I've not seen many people. Take it easy, friend. I shuffle along and look at the contents of my bowl. It's slop. Definitely slop. I don't know what it's made of, or what animal it came out of. Oh well, at least it seems hot. I grab some water and a piece of bread. No dessert options. Princely. I look around for a place to sit next to someone, hoping for a bit of, well, any kind of interaction. I sit down next to a bored-looking classmate, but after a few overtures and encouraging smiles, I give up. Everyone's a bit on edge, and at other tables it looked like people are focusing on the contents of their tray. The slops proves to taste just as awful as it looks. Once I'm done pushing about the last bits of food left, I stand up and go put my tray back where I've seen others do so. A fair bunch of people have left already, and looking at their trays, it seems like I'm not the only one for whom enjoyment of our dinner was minimal. Off to the sides, there's a guard taking people off a long list and sending them down a hallway. It's that Master Sergeant dude again, I think. Some of us seems have different face markings and uniforms, although I'm not sure what their meanings are. We lock eyes and he barks up. "What's your name, first level initiated?" I enunciate clearly. "I am Kite Cat F21. First level initiate Murderous Kite Cat F21. He searches for a few moments, then finds it. "Yes, Kite Cat F21. Your living quarters are in section B8, level 9, hallway 47, door 32. It's down this way. Just follow the signs, you can't miss it. And if you do, you'll figure it out eventually." I look the way he's pointing at, a nondescript hallway off to the side leading away from the concourse. I look back at the guards, but he's turned his attention to someone else. Hesitantly, I set out to find door 32. My footsteps echo softly down along empty hallways. It takes me some time to realize I don't see anyone else, although I sometimes hear voices echoing from afar. I eventually find my way to level 9, hallway 47. It's an even quieter area of the station, which is saying something. And there are small doors there, tiny affairs compared to the other ones on the main concourse. Even the ceiling is much lower, about 2 meters high. The lighting is a mix of neon glare and the ever oppressive flicker of a tube that just refused to give up the ghost. I look around me to get my bearings. It seems I'm nearly at the end of the hallway, where a bend leads to some sort of control system for life support. Guess I'm getting the finest air in the thin area then. With one last look towards the map, I start down the hall. Door 1, 2, 31, 32. This should be it. I look around. Might be the finest air in the area, but boy oh boy. This end of the hallway looks like it hasn't seen a mop in weeks. There are strange sounds coming from the next door over, which must be the life support control rooms. Ominous. Is this the right place? Section B8, level 9, hallway 47, door 32. Yup, no doubt. This is me. I put the heavy metallic door open with a groan and step inside. From my vantage point, I survey my new kingdom. From left to right there is a tiny sink for my ablutions, a mirror that doubles as a holoscreen, a toilet with no lid, a closet, a narrow bunk with a blanket and a pillow, some almost empty shelves, and we're back to the door. All in a cylinder, about 2 by 4 meters. Cozy. Well, this may not be the warm embrace of a cloning birth, but it will do. At least I have the place to myself. I pull the door closed behind me. There's a distracting buzzing coming from an overhead fan. The finest air, huh? I sit down on the bed and look about. It's a bit too hot in here now that the door is closed. And there are actually physical controls in the panel by the entrance. So I turn the temperature down a notch. The buzzing increases to a screech. Something scrapping on metal? There is no way I can sleep with this thing on. I turn the knob back up to its original level and the metal screech subsides. Ah, screw it, that'll do for the night. I plop myself down on the bed, turn off the light and pull the blanket over my head. There's a sinister rumble in my belly. That doesn't bode well. I wake up with a start. I had a strange sensation. A dream? A dream in which everyone was wearing the same face, and smiled and sneered at one another in the same breath. They were all playing a part in some big play, and I seemed to be the only one not know my lines. My mask fell off, I died. I sigh heavily and push myself off the mattress. I stagger off the bed and put my hands on each side of the sink. I look into the mirror holoscreen. The dream was real. I feel a strong urge to puke. I clench my hands on the sink until my knuckles are as white as the forced porcelain and breathe as deeply as I can. The feeling passes. I open my eyes again. I notice there's a blinking icon flashing on the holoscreen. It expands when I press it until it covers half the screen. Breakfast mess hall. Classes Academy Auditorium 3. Lunch mess hall. Extracurriculars specific. Diner mess hall and advanced classes specific. Breakfast is grayed out and classes is bolded. Looks like I'm late on my first day of class. I bolt out the door and run like my life depends on it. It does. Sorry I'm late. Grand Headmaster. You are late, indeed, first level initiate. It seems that the redesign of the station altered it enough that fresh initiates do not find corresponding plans in their memories. Still, the last of your classmates arrived 10 minutes ago. Have a seat. In the future, make sure you arrive on time. Initiate KiteCat F21. I scurry to my seat in the back. Against my better judgment, my ears and cheeks have turned a very nice shade of pink. I can hear my classmates snicker. I sink into the deep comfort of the chair and try to ignore the burning sensation. My empty stomach adds its groans to the chorus. This is just great. Adonis P20 gestures to the whole screen behind him. Moving on. Over the next 3 weeks, you will undergo an accelerated program. You would better not miss a class. Subjects covered will be among others. He starts listening off subjects in a rapid-fire monotone that is hard to follow. I make out a few words. History of Horatio in the last 100 years. Astrocartography. Negotiation. Etiquette. Startup imperialism. Dance. Valeting. Personal grooming. Speechcraft. Xenobiology. Dealing with lessers. Horatiology. Cooking. Reception protocol. Fencing. Horatio resources. Perfumes. Genomic inference. Hand-to-hand combat. Social hygiene. Sublight navigation. Logistics. Calorinomics. Cloning 101. Personal disruption. Surveillance. Xenopolitics. Imperial maintenance. Fleet maneuvers. Spacecraft care 101. Aerobatics. And guns. For a start. I frown. This sure sounds like an eclectic mix. I have a feeling that simply repeating this list will take up most of the 3 weeks at our disposal. We will begin with an all-time favorite, personal grooming. My classmates let out appreciative ahs and improving nods at the subject choice. Next up is a very detailed anatomical representation of Horatio. Eternus PO2 begins. Melodious chimes sound off in the distance. Heads perk up and look around. Ah, time flies when we are having fun. I loved it. Truly, there would be so much more to say. There is a lot more course material. We'll get to some of it later, but for now, it is time for you to get lunch. This afternoon, you will be assigned your first extracurricular activities. They will be assigned to you based on personal affinities. I will see you all. He paused for a dramatic effect. Tomorrow. Same place, same time. Do not be late. Passing glance in my direction is all the confirmation I need. I look away with a detached air and avoid making eye contact. We're back in the mess hall, and it seems slopped as it back as well. I sigh. I can't tell I've had better, because obviously, but I'm pretty sure these aren't fine foods that we're supposed to be enjoying. The faces around me are a mix of resignation and grumpiness, confirming my hunch. Ain't no one liking the grub here. I shuffle along the line with my tray. The same Horatio I saw yesterday hands me a bowl of the same slop. I sigh again. The Horatio lunch person hears it, and his expression changes. Hey, you think this is enjoyable for me? It isn't. I look at him. You wouldn't happen to have something to make this taste a little better? Anything? He considers this for a moment, then snatches a little spice shaker from the counter and hands it to me. You can always sprinkle this on top. I pour a little of what turns out to be a pungent red powder on my food. I stop, look at my bowl, then add a little bit more, and a little more still. Soon my bowl is covered in a thin layer of red. The lunch person looks bemused. That should be enough, buddy. Okay, thanks. I hand back the spice shaker and go find a seat. Let's look for other Horatios. Encouraged by what could very possibly be my first conversation, I look to find a seat with other people. I find a table with an empty spot. When I put my tray down, the conversations go quiet and faces turn towards me. One of them pipes up. Well, if this isn't the late Kite Cat F21. I realize my mistake, pick up my tray and go sit on my own. I will find no camaraderie from my classmates, now that I've been made the class dunce. I dip my spark in the bowl and give the new, improved formula a taste. It's actually pretty good. There's a rich taste of, well, something or other, and it just unexpectedly warms up and explodes with flavor. I look up from my bowl, full of gratitude for the Horatio lunch person. I smile at him and give him a thumbs up. He nods at me and cocks an eyebrow. I shovel big spoonfuls of delicious slop into my face, barely chewing on it, and then the spice hits me. My tongue suddenly becomes very, very hot. It takes me a moment to realize what's happening. By the time I do, my mouth is fully engulfed in what feels like fire. I'm doing my best to choke on my food quietly, fighting back tears. The Horatio behind the counter is laughing heartily. He did it on purpose. Let's ignore him. Try my best to ignore him. It's not too difficult as my eyes are blurry with tears. I put my tray in the return area and leave the mess hall with all the dignity I can muster. I wander back to my room. I can feel a trail of fire down my throat and into my stomach. I wash my face at the sink and slowly regain some composure. The schedule on my holopad switches from lunch to extracurriculars. A little pop-up menu indicates that I'm having imperial maintenance. In the kitchen? I'm not sure what this is about, but I know I don't want to be late to it or to anything ever again. I trot out of my room. I get to the mess hall minutes later. Running was not a good idea. My stomach is vehemently protesting as I look around for... well, I'm guessing the rest of the class? The other students assigned here? I'm not sure how things work. The place is now entirely deserted, which feels strange. Nobody but me. I'm about to walk out and look for a holopad to check my schedule when I hear a call. They assigned you? What a coincidence. I turn around. It's the lunch person who tricked me. He's waving me over from behind the counter. Come over here. Imperial maintenance, huh? He must have imperially pissed someone off. I get around the counter and into the kitchen. This place is a mess. I stand in front of him, my face a carefully composed mask. The fact that my food is still churning in my stomach doesn't help me. I feel queasy. Oh, come on, don't be like that. It was just a harmless prank. I couldn't know you were already on someone's shit list. I look at him frowning. Something's not right in my belly. Feels like it's trying to crawl back up. Oh, you probably didn't know. Well, Imperial maintenance is basically... the janitorial duties are all yours. Nobody wants to push a mop for a living, so it's dished out as a punishment. Looks like you and me are on cleaning duty today. I'm about to speak up when a sudden urge to retch overpowers me. I vomit on the floor. And this is where you'll start. I hate the feeling, but I have to say I'm immediately relieved. Red firegrass will do that to you when you put too much. I did kind of set you up for it. Sorry. He hands me a dishcloth, which I wipe my mouth with. I'm Darien F19, by the way. Second level initiate, Margaret Darien F19. Kite Cat, First level initiate merc with Kite Cat F21. His hand is still open, extended towards me. He's looking intently at me. Let's shake his hand. I place my hand in his and squeeze, feeling like it's the appropriate thing to do after instructions. He looks taken aback. His hand is warm and limp in my clammy fingers. The experience is deeply uncomfortable. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure what I was trying to do here. We let go. I grab a mop and a bucket and set about cleaning my mess. And therein F19 surreptitiously snatches the dishcloth from my countertop I've let it on. He does his best to look like he's cleaning, but after a couple of glances at him, it's clear that he's just puttering about. From time to time he looks back at how I'm getting on. Once I'm more or less done, he turns to me. Yep, I think we're pretty much done here. What do you think? What do you mean? Well, I don't know about you, but I've got places to be. And better things to do than pushing a mop around. We could just call this a day and go about our lives. How does that sound? Won't we get caught? Not exactly popular right now. He laughs. Having had this laugh directed at me just minutes ago, I'm not sure how to take it. Right, you're on the shit list. Let me show you how things work around here. He walks up to a wall-mounted holopad and starts typing around, flicking windows open until he finds what he's looking for. Ah, there, see? Imperial Maintenance Kitchen. Are names that basically the low-level schedule. Well, if you put your hand on the biometric scanner here, and then click on edit, you can, well, you can just remove us from this. Extracurricular, my smooth ass. I have to admit that I'm impressed. And that really works? I gotta tell you something. Something you may not have realized yet. The security features are here to protect the Empire from its indesirables. They are not exactly geared to protect it from insiders who might have different inclinations. He turns to me. So what do you say? Are we done here? I consider my options. Yeah, we're done here. You know what? I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be learning here, but you said it. I'm not gonna stay here and push him up around. Right on. He presses a few buttons on the holopad and a moment later turns back to me. Our work here is done. Let's go. He moves to leave and I follow. I notice he's still carrying the dishcloth with him, which I do find pretty gross. This should buy us a couple of hours. Nobody will check on us because he leans in conspirationally. And they all think they've got better things to do too. We exit the same way we came in, through the mess hall. And therein F19 is walking a couple of steps ahead of me, and seeing as I personally don't have any destination in mind, I'm tagging along. He notices, stops and turns around. Listen, friend, I've got places to go, people to be. Let's keep this casual, shall we? Oh. By the time I've processed that I was being dismissed, he has rounded the corner of the hallway and disappeared. Let's just try to follow him. He did just call me friend, however, so I'm pretty sure I should at least tentatively try and see where he hangs out. I dash down the hallway into the direction he went. When I get there, however, he's nowhere to be seen. The hallway is straight as a laser shot and well lit. I look around and the only place he could have gone is... what? Through the air vent? I put my head to the vent cover and I think I can hear a faint sound from inside, but I'm not sure if I'm just imagining the noise. I turn around dejected and start walking at random. After a few minutes of aimless wandering, my steps take me back to the concourse. It is almost empty compared to the first time I saw it. Still, the murmurs of distant conversation, the echoing footsteps, the light filtering from outside, all of it contributes to giving the place an air of reverence. I try not to gawk as I walk around. The freely growing trees, the fountains and water pieces with running water, all of this contributes to paint a picture of an empire built on a boundless pride. We are, I'm pretty sure of, one small mistake away from a tragic accident here. If the glass ceiling were to shatter, boundless arrogance or endless optimism? Probably a little bit of both. I hear footsteps rapidly approaching and startle, as if I was caught doing something illegal. Thought crimes. Thankfully nobody can hear what's going on in my head. Can they? I look discreetly over my shoulder and recognize X-Rose B12, the Master Sergeant guy. He is in agitated conversation with, I think it was Turgus F07, the lab tech. I hear some of their exchange as they get closer. What do you mean you don't know where he is? I am his instructor, same as you. I'm not here to track brothers at your convenience. If you, all of his siblings, hadn't kept on piling sanctions on him to build character, he might have been more assiduous in his attendance. X-Rose B12 comes to an abrupt stop a couple of meters away from me and turns to face Turgus F07, practically shouting his face. This is important. Well, I'm sorry, I can't help you. Not only is this not my expertise, but I've got prior engagements. I don't get it. It's blowing ships up and showing Eternus P02 your worth. He was lucky to be selected for fleet maneuvers in the first place. Who wouldn't jump at the chance? Looks like he wouldn't. X-Rose B12 stumps off down the hallway. Turgus F07 turns around in a dignified, rigid posture. He mutters in the general direction of the Master Sergeant. I'm almost late for my picnic now. Now where's the greenhouse? Ah, this way. He walks away at a leisurely pace. Fleet maneuvers. That sounds like an advanced class. Could be a way to blow things up. Take the pressure off. Or a way to try and fit in. Show what I'm worth. On the other hand, a picnic. What do I want to do? I need to show what I'm made of. Fleet maneuver this. I can't possibly miss an opportunity like that. Take off in the direction the Master Sergeant went. I catch up with him. Hey, Master Sergeant X-Rose B12, sir. I couldn't help but overhear that you're short on personnel. I want in. KiteCat F21, right? It's true that we are me short. One of the cadets scheduled to take part in the advanced class has missed the last exercise and is nowhere to be found. If you want to replace him, simply do as you are told in all circumstances. How familiar are you with MK43, armament systems and their controls? Just a little. Of course, your imprinting only covers models as far as the MK41, right? I remember having to learn about that stuff too. Well, it's nothing revolutionary compared to what you're familiar with. You'll figure it out. He starts walking again, and I follow. Before long, we get to a small door leading to command deck of a battleship? Wow. X-Rose B12 notices my gaping in awe and chuckles. Impressive, huh? Yes, I suppose you wouldn't have seen a holo room before. The technology is pretty new. This one here reproduces all manners of spaceship decks for training purposes. It was commissioned roughly a decade ago, after the Invictus Fleet incident. Live exercise were deemed too costly by the administration. Officially, this is Holo Training Room 15 for deckside fleet maneuvers, but we've taken to calling it simply the Battle Bridge. Let's get in, your classmates are already here. Battle Bridge, got it. He steps inside, ducking a little to get through the door. A regular-sized frame with a couple of crisscrossing hololines tracing the shape of a hatch. It appears wholly unnecessary, but I'm guessing it's a habit from having served on real ships. I follow suit and duck through the door. I'm not sure why I did that, but maybe it made me look a bit more professional? Master Eternus P02 steps out from behind a huge console. Look what the Startide washed in. KiteCat F21, what brings you here? I open my mouth to answer, but the Master Sergeant cuts me short. Grand Headmaster, the cadet offered to replace Darien F19, who is nowhere to be found and hasn't answered any summons. What a disappointment. Yet you believe this one will prove as talented with weapon systems, but more assiduous? Extra B12 looks at me, before turning back to face Eternus P02. I have full confidence in any brother from the Magritte batch. It sure beats having to man that station myself anyway. Not the resounding endorsement I was hoping for, but it'll do. Make sure he does not do anything stupid. Uh-oh. The Master Sergeant directs me towards a gigantic battle station with a wide seat and a whole array of panels, commands and knobs. This is your station. Please be seated. The new headdress feels nice, huh? MK43 series has moved controls around a bit, but the weapon systems have shifted somewhat. Point defense guns are on your left, with laser and beam triggers in the middle. Missiles have been simplified compared to what you know, so it really is point and shoot now with the stick controller. What's this panel? This is boarding pod controls. They're not part of the doctrine right now, so you won't need to use them. Too much reticence among the crew to endanger one's face in close quarter battles. They're not even manned. Got it. Any questions? I'm good. I'm good. Excellent, let's get started. He straightens up and turns towards Eternus P02. We're ready to start, sir. Excellent. Load simulation Kobayashi Sophon. X-Ray B12 gives Eternus P02 a sidelong look. Are you sure they're ready, sir? You heard me. Let's get started. Sit rep. Voices rise from across the room. Communications ready. Damage control ready. Engineering ready. Lead command ready. Navigation ready. Scan view ready. Security ready. Strike ring ready. All around me are familiar faces. Intent gazes, focused faces. They all seem to know what they're doing. I put on my most convincing game face and grab the controls. Weapon systems ready. I'm not sure how long this has been going on, but what I know is that it hasn't been going well. Our fleet's objective is to intercept and destroy an exploration vessel sent by the Sophon Republic. The objective would be straightforward enough if that vessel weren't followed closely but what feels like the Republic's entire fleet. Most of our own fleet has been disabled or destroyed by what feels like an altogether preposterous amount of firepower. Most of our systems are down and our strike craft is in complete disarray. My missiles are all but gone and the energy weapons cannot accumulate enough power for a shot. To put it mildly, we're in trouble. And the instructor now responsible for cadet military training X-Ray B12 is visibly under a lot of stress. He's nonetheless trying his hardest to make us fulfill the objectives of the mission. Fleet Command, launch a pincer maneuver. Impossible, sir. Our last Marja frigate was disabled by the last hit. That's the whole fleet gone. I'm out. Cadet stations turns dark, joining strike rings and engineering. Sir, our sensors have picked up the activation of a cloaking device on the enemy scout. We've lost our firing solution. Firing solution, my smooth ass, cadet. Our tubes are empty and our guns are cold. This is the firing problem we're having. He shoots me a grim look. I've been a little trigger happy with the missile, sure. I hit my targets and I can't be faulted for shooting at the opposition. I'm pretty sure I'm the only reason we're still afloat. The lights flicker and a low rumble shakens the room. That's another direct hit, sir. The shields are down. Damage control goes dark too. I think the Master Sergeant is about to call it, when I have an idea. An idea so crazy it just might work. I've been thinking about it for, well, maybe all of 30 seconds, but I think there's a chance. I switched on the internal communicator. Weapon systems to security. Get your marines to the boarding pod. Start. What? There's no time to explain. Send everyone who can hold a rifle now. Roger that. I heard the cadet relay the order and watch on my consoles as the boarding pods start coming online and filling up. Weapon systems to navigation. Plot a course that would allow the direct firing of the pods at the enemy flagship. Why are you doing that? They're not the target. I know, do as you're told. Extra Speed 12 backs me up. Follow his lead. I sure hope you know what you're doing. Look at me, I'm the captain now. Bearing 335 weapon systems, your firing solution is coming up. I look at my console. I have 6 boarding pods full of marines, too precious to be willing to carry a gun in normal circumstances, and I'm about to fire them straight at the enemy carrier. I smash the launch button and the boarding pods blast off the side of the ship. I open the line to marines inside. Listen up, brothers. It is my understanding that the troops aboard the Sovereign flagships are tiny nerds that are a full 2 heads shorter than you. They cannot reach the face of even the hunchbacks among your lot, so don't worry about getting them scratched. Heads up high. May his force be with you. I watch anxiously as the pods reach the point defense line of the enemy carrier. A pod explodes in a shower of sparks, then another. But 4 of them get through and smash into the hull. I hear combat chatter on the comms. Marines, head to the bridge. This is no time for caution. Give it all you've got. Go! I listen anxiously for sounds of progression. The cries of dying marines and wounded Shenaglis subside. Weapon systems, this is Marine Leader. We have seized the bridge of the enemy flagship and have disabled the doors. We have control of the ship, for now. And get a hold of their sensors. Can you locate the cloak's guide on it? It should be clear as day to their own fleet. Aye aye, yes. We have it on our starboard. It's attempting to escape. Get a lock on it and activate all of the weapon systems you can find. We're not trained to use Sovereign ships, sir. Then figure it out. I cut the line and watch the screen above my head with mounting anxiety. After a moment, a single missile leaves the Sovereign's torpedo bay and cruises towards empty space. An intense explosion follows. We did it, sir. The lights have turned back on and all the stations are lit up again. Extra Speed 12 has a confused smile on his face. We did it? We did it! It takes me a few seconds to remember where I am. This was just an exercise. I'm drenched in sweat nonetheless. Extra Speed 12 comes to my station, beaming. Congratulations, Cat F-21. You've beaten the Kobayashi Sophon. He leans forward and adds more quietly. In all my years, I've never seen a cadet crew able to defeat it. It was conceived as a no-win scenario to test our brother's mettle in the face of certain death. Or even worse, possible disfigurement. He straightens up and concludes. I'm very impressed. Adonis P-02 appears, seemingly out of thin air. Yes, this was unorthodox, but efficient. Good work. We might make a cadet out of you yet. Anything to serve his empire, sir. I'm smiling from ear to ear, flush with pride. As I get up from my station, pretend shrugging the compliments away, I notice that my comrades in arms aren't sharing the ambient glee. I'm guessing that single-handedly pulling off victory from the jaws of defeat doesn't look too good in a dog-eat-dog world. We filter out the battle bridge and I saunter back home. Exhausted, but all in all, pretty happy with my day. I've never been happier to see my bed. I dive face first into it and instantly fall asleep. Over the next few days, I settle into a routine, marked by classes, mundane and strange alike. As much as possible. I try to fit with the other cadets? No, they don't like me. I do my own thing. I do attend the classes and the extracurricular activities, up to a point. I try to keep a low profile and make sure no one notices me. For that, I use the trick Darien F19 showed me with the holoscreen. It works, I think. Nonetheless, it's not an uncomfortable life. All things considered, while I'm far from being a master of my fate, I have found a relatively easy to live routine. Master Sergeant X was B12 and the instructor clone I've learned was called 3rd Rate Chamberlain Magrath Turgis F07 joined Master Eternus P02 to lead specific classes. From our accelerated program, our primary purpose becomes increasingly clear. We need to pass the inspection ceremony from Horatio Prime with flying colors and at any cost. Learning how to actually perform at this Isiandis Academy? Well, maybe later. We learn that a big rehearsal is planned for the end of the week. My classmates seem excited. Personally, I don't care either way. At this stage I'm exhausted with pretending. One way or the other, things will happen to me and I'll do my best to survive them. And most importantly, remember, do not mess this up. Do not screw this up, cadets. Whatever. The ceremony rehearsal is taking place today on the concourse. My classmates and I are arrayed in 2 lines, facing one another. The excitement is palpable for this part, as we are apparently going to perform the Imperial Besadance, a courtly dance that was extremely popular a few centuries ago. This explains why we had absolutely no dance classes so far. Us newly decanted clones and our instructors alike know the dance very well. Normally. I would say that my memory of it is foggy. But of course, I have absolutely no recollection of this dance, or anything ever. The only thing I know about dancing in the Horatio Empire are things I learned while browsing on my holoscreen. First, that there are dozens of dances that have come and gone in favor throughout the centuries. Second, that dancing is sometimes seen as a conduit for social advancement, as it is changed to mingle with the powerful. It has apparently been used as a plot point in countless stories and dramas, to the point where it is considered a well-worn cliché. This cliché, though, most certainly contains a kernel of truth. We have been paired up randomly with one another, some of us having the honor of dancing alongside our instructors. I note that Eternus P02 is partnered with Extros B12. Are you afraid of something, Eternus P02? My own dance companion is not anyone I've actually ever talked to, bearing the disappointment grunt when our respective names were drawn. I've already forgotten his. Attention, cadets. Everyone, every me on your marks. He presses a couple of keys on his holopad. And music. This dance is not the worst they could have picked. In Besadance, the leading couple performs the moves first, and the other couples replicate. This leaves me a couple of beats to try to process what I'm seeing and mirror their movements. I'm gonna need all the help I can get. They start. A step forward and a deep bow with an arm extension. I can do that. I nod towards my partner. He grudgingly nods back. Don't be like that, buddy. We're in this together. Step forward and a deep bow, right? Put my right foot in front, put my weight on it, and bend at the waist while looking at my partner's feet. So far so good. Eternus P02 and Extra Speed 12 have straightened back up, and are now taking a side step to the left and back, without moving the right foot. Then they step back with their left foot and come back still without moving the right foot. I think it's a step to my left. Right. I slide my foot to my left in a posture that is reminiscent of what I like to call the Extra Speed 12 power stance, and back. Then I step backwards, shift my weight equally among both feet and come back. I'm slightly off tempo, but I don't think anyone has noticed. The leading couple starts a series of small steps towards one another. After 5, they stop, then sidestep towards the right, come back, and then step backwards, come back again, and take a deep bow with another arm flourish. It's the most complicated step yet. I think it's the first one. I take 5 cautious steps forward, focusing on my feet. A step to the right. My foot slides a bit on the polished floor, but I recover gracefully with my own kind of arm flourish. I step back just a little too fast, correct my course in a lunge that brings me too close to my dance partner. I take a deep bow and lose balance halfway through, headbutting him right in his own bow and sending us both sprawling to the floor. He seems absolutely furious. You moron, can't you watch where you step? The 2 lines of dancers stop. Every me is staring at us. This is bad. What kind of subpar batch do you come from? You can't even follow along. Look. The music stops too. This is very bad. Extra Speed 12 pushes his way through us. What happened here, cadets? Explain yourselves. My classmate wastes no time in throwing me under the bus. I start yammering something about having slipped on the slick floor, when I notice Eternus P02 has joined the circle of onlookers. I decide the best course of action is to be quiet now. Extra Speed 12 summarizes the situation for the headmaster. It seems first level initiate Margaret Kite Cat F21 fell onto the other cadet. Eternus P02 returns to us. Is the base dance too difficult for you, initiates? My classmate breathes in to protest, but a gesture from the headmaster stops him in his tracks. Not one more word. He raises his voice to address the crowd. The ceremony rehearsal is cancelled. You can all thank Initiate Kite Cat F21 for this initiative. You can go back to your quarters now. There are audible gasps and murmurs. Eternus P02 turns back to me. Initiates, come with us. He moves to leave, Extra Speed 12 in tow. I guess I'm not saying anything. I don't think there's anything I can say that would help right now. I get up and follow, a few steps behind the pair. I have a bad feeling about this. We make our way through quiet hallways, with neither of them speaking. We reach an area I've never set foot in. The station is as quiet as always, but in here, under these circumstances, it has a certain oppressive feeling. As we turn a corner, Eternus P02 throws me a sidelong glance that sends shivers down my spine. The headmaster steps in through an otherwise unremarkable door. Extra Speed 12 stops, waits for me to enter, and the door closes silently behind him. Despite my precarious situation, I can't help but stare at the opulence of the room. This is everything I've seen in my series and more. The view is breathtaking. Eternus P02 is looking out the window. His back to us. After a few moments he turns around and breaks the silence. Initiate KiteCat F21. It is bad when a newly decanted clone catches my attention. Do you know why? No, sir. The defining trait every me here have in common, and that we value above all else, is ambition. We want to get places, gain power. Sometimes, well, most times, we seize it from the cold dead hands of the brother who held it before us. We want to be seen in a prime light, and to operate in the shadows whenever we need to do more. Unsightly actions. The worst that could happen is for somebody else to catch us in a situation of weakness. Unfortunately for me, my ability to produce an awe-inspiring batch of cadets that can pass muster is currently in jeopardy. Your antics today have left me in a precarious position. One of my cadets not meeting our standards would be a delay in our esteemed Emperor's plans, a delay I would be responsible for. It might be a lot easier for me to just get rid of you, and pretend you were never here in the first place. We are, however, as you no doubt will have noticed, rather severely short-staffed aboard the station. I was loath to reveal the extent of the situation to the idiots overseeing the cloning facility in the systems, for reasons you can imagine. Therefore, until we have discreetly replenished our complement of station personnel, I would rather not have to get rid of anyone, whether they happen to displease me or not. I have two options when it comes to what will happen to you. The first one is easiest. Assign you on a special mission and send you to investigate the disappearance of our patrol. With some luck you might never come back, and if you do, we will have learned valuable information, and in any case, you're out of the way. The second option exists only because we have invested time and resources in you, and there is a tiny chance you might turn out alright, given the proper training. A second chance, if you will, to prove that you can perform like any of your brothers. At the same time, I would hate to extend this offer to you if you were not ready to step up. Do you understand? In your defense, I must say your decisions in the holo training room allowed your cadet crew to fulfill the parameters of the mission, even if these decisions were against the current doctrine. Initiative is generally frowned upon, but in your case it might prove a saving grace. Extra Speed 12 here is particularly keen on keeping you on for some reason. The choice ultimately is yours. Are you ready to put in the effort? Or is this all proving too much for you? I'm amazed and I managed not to say anything, snarky or otherwise, during this entire monologue. I will do my best to be worthy, sir. I'll train even harder. And this is what I was hoping to hear. And who knows, you might even succeed. Targus F-07 will show you your new headquarters. Now, while we are here, I would also like to congratulate you on your promotion. Junior Probational Assistant Petty Officer Magris KiteCat F-21. It has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? The door behind us hisses open and Targus F-07 comes in. Grand Headmaster? Take our esteemed KiteCat F-21 to his new quarters in the officer's wing. Put him on the accelerated version of the accelerated program. You heard me. Very well, sir. If you'll follow me. An officer, huh? I've heard about your prowess on the battle bridge. Good for you, KiteCat F-21. It's Junior Professional Assistant Petty Officer. Remember it. Well. Take it easy, Junior Probational Assistant Petty Officer Margaret KiteCat F-21. You haven't arrived just yet. We are silent the rest of the way. We pass through the concourse, then dive into a hallway similar to the one we just left. Seems I'm going to live in the nicer part of the station. This is just what I deserve. Eventually, Turgis F-07 stops in front of a door and turns to me. He speaks up in a studied monotone. Section A9. Hallway 14, door 23. This is your new home. He pushes the door open and gestures at the inside. After you. I step into my room. Turns out, my room is a suite, and it looks amazing. The bed is bigger, there seems to be an actual bathroom, a sitting area, some nice shelves and a desk. It looks like the place somebody might live. Actually, it looks like the place somebody lives in already. It is now painfully obvious that the space was occupied by someone probably not long ago. The bed is undone for once. There's a uniform on the shower mat. And there's a book on the nightstand. Its spine cracked from being opened upside down. And of course, there are the photos. I take a closer look. They show several Horatios in various social settings, sitting around by a fountain on the concourse, having drinks in the mess, or squished closer together to fit in the frame of the picture. They look happy. Then there's a picture of a Horatio in full battle dress, standing at attention with a weapon. The markings on his chest place him somewhere in the middle ranks, a junior officer. Was he the brother who lived here? Was he a friend? A boyfriend? Difficult to say what the relationships between all the peoples were when all of them looked the same. Whose place is this? It's yours now. Who lived here before me? Does it matter? I stare at him until he answers. We stare at each other for a second. He sighs. Okay. These were the quarters of Acting Deputy Probational Officer Mergus Amplidus F-20. What happened to him? He was part of the cadet crew that was on board the training exploration fleet. The one that disappeared recently. We know of no survivors. I point at the photos. He glances at them, then looks back at me. What about the rest of them? To the best of my knowledge, they were part of the crew too. All gone. Any idea what he was like? He looks at his holopad for a second, licking screens rapidly. Going by the record, he was very gifted and succeeded in all his endeavors, and was on a rising trajectory until this happened. Why do you care? It's not like you're gonna meet him or any of them. He gestures at nothing in particular. Anyway, this is all yours now. Feel free to do whatever you like with the personal effects on your predecessor. Your first classes start tomorrow morning. I'm sure you'll enjoy them. Good night, Junior Probational Assistant Petty Officer. He leaves the room and shuts the door behind him. I am left standing alone in the room of someone who looked like me. I look at his personal photos scattered here and there. What should I do with all that? We should keep them. Maybe he will return one day. I guess I'll keep them around for a bit. It's better than staring at a wall anyway. I sit back on my bed and look at the ceiling. It's been an eventful day. I close my eyes just for a second to try and process what happened today. My mouth is dry when I wake up. I step into the bathroom and consider my options briefly before stepping into the shower. The water is at first oddly lukewarm, before finally heating up. I let it run over my smooth forehead and over my body for a long, long time. I step out and take a look at the holoscreen in what I guess would be the parlor. I can make out my reflection beyond the haptic overlay. Face of perfection. I look so much like him, It's almost painful. I wink at myself before pressing a button, bringing up today's schedule. Breakfast mess hall. Advanced classes, guns. Small Arms Locker 4. Startup Imperialism Academy Auditorium 3. Is that all? I tapped the screen a couple times trying to refresh the display. That seems odd. I head out to the mess hall. I'll figure it out on the way. I get a 9 and grab my tray. Oh, I know who I'll ask. He's right there, working the lunch counter as usual. Hey Darren F19, can I ask you a question? He pours a healthy serving of slop into a bowl and posts it to the brother before me before answering. I heard congratulations were in order after your little stunt yesterday. He looks me in the eye. Sure, what's on your mind? Saw this morning after breakfast. It looks like I've got 2 classes, but they seem to be scheduled at the same time. He considers this for a moment. The Horatios and Nine start muttering but he pays them no heed. You know, unless someone actively tampered with the systems, it's not supposed to double book you for classes. I don't suppose you have done anything to piss anybody off? This makes me frown. Have I made enemies here? The grumbling from the brothers in line gets louder. They'll wait. Let's ask for leads, I guess. Do you have anyone in mind? Well, there's this guy whose dancing you ruined. And there's all these guys you outshone during this lame military exercise. And then there's the people who might object you to your sudden rising star. Really the question is there anyone who wouldn't want to hurt you? For the classes looks like you'll have to make a choice. Which one you want to go? He hands me a bowl of slop. Would you like something to spice this up? I shoot him a death glare, grab my bowl and go. I eat in silence, considering my options. Guns sounds like something X-B12 would teach. Startup Imperialism sounds like an Eternus P0 kind of thing. Which class do I want to attend? That's a pretty good question, right? I feel like Eternus has more things to say, but guns are more fun. More impact or guns? Alright, let's just take the guns, right? My decision made, I get up and exit the room, leaving my bowl on the table. I've never been to Small Arms Locker 4, or any other really, but I'm starting to get a feel for where dangerous things are stashed on the station. Generally away from important people. This means it's a bit of a hike and I end up in a place that looks familiar. Yes, this is section B8, the sector I was previously housed in. Can't say I care much for it. I look up the exact path on a holoscreen and make my way there. When I open the door, I'm not surprised to see X-B12's bulky armor. I am more intrigued by the presence among the handful of soldiers present of what are obliviously aliens. Wait, I believe there's another appellation for them. I think it was category X personal, right? X probably stands for Xenuglies, but hey, this seems a tad more formal and a little less prestigious. Ah, Cadet F21, we were waiting for you. Welcome to my advanced class. Guns. Strangely understated name, all things considered. You think? Well, don't tell anyone, but sometimes there's beauty in simplicity. You can't go wrong with guns. As long as you keep them pointed in the right direction and locked up at night. What's this class about then? I raise a hand as he inhales to shout guns and he deflates. I mean, what do we do here? We learn to use them to their full effect. It is rare for our soldiers to engage in direct confrontation on the battlefield nowadays, especially with our state-of-the-art fleet doing most of the heavy lifting. However, every once in a while, a particular hostile planet will need some extra convincing to cease hostilities. That's where the guns and the brothers holding them come in handy. Here. He hands me an impressive-looking rifle that looks dangerous regardless of how I hold it. I point at the two aliens with my chin. What about them? Their presence is simply to explain. They are shock troops. For some reason I can't quite fathom. They are extraordinary marksmen. Also, since our regular marines usually refuse to climb aboard the boarding pods, these are the folks we sent. Are they also part of the deckside fleet maneuvers? Battle bridge? Well, yes and no. They're in close quarters choreography simulation. It's a vocational class. Yes, we're in there while all your little friends are scared of getting scratches on their pretty faces. So we're the ones. We do the work. Except that most of the time our pods are not even launched. So we're just waiting for the simulation to end. Except the other day, I guess. Do you mean that when I sent the Horatio boarding crew, you were the troops that I actually sent? Oh, that was you? Neat trick. Smart thinking. I can respect that. I'm Rink, by the way. I am Katya F21. A bit of a mouthful. I think I'll just call you Hey, if I need to get your attention, okay? I'm Tora. I know you guys think we all look alike, so I'll say it for your benefit. My people are called Galvran. Same number of limbs as this little guy right here, but a lot more eyes. Hey, I'm not little. You guys are too big. I'm a snugfit. That you are, Rink. She points at my rifle and gives me a quizzical look. Also, when you hold your gun, make sure to point it away from your own body, or you'll shoot something off. Of course. I know how to hold a gun. I glance at the other cadets here who are holding their rifles in a relaxed manner. A hand on the stock and another on the barrel. I do that, but casually. She shrugs. Of course. Phew, close call. Extras B12, whom I'd not seen leave during my conversation with the aliens, comes back holding targets, neatly marked with numerical values closer to center of mass. Getting to know the troops, Kite Cat F21? Excellent initiative. Follow me now, we're going to the shooting range. Shooting range? Where is that located, sir? In a place where nothing can get hurt by stray gunfire. Cadets, form up, we're going outside. Cadets, attention! We stop in the front of a bulky door. To the side, clear signage indicate airlock A38. Oh, that kind of outside. The door opens with a hiss. We step in and shelf our guns onto a rack. Put on your combat vac suits, let's go! The other cadets open individual lockers and get down to business, and I do the same. Exos B12 opens a locker next to me and starts removing his armor, emitting little grunts of efforts as he goes. Let's focus on the task. My uniform was a snug fit when I first got it, and by and large, it still is. It takes me a few minutes of fumbling before I'm out of it, and into the equally snug but sturdier vacuum suit. Okay, cadets, put your helmets on. He slams his on with practic ease, fastens the lock and checks his comms. I need a bit more time to work around my precious forehead, without hurting anything sensitive. After a minute or so, we're ready, grab our guns, and step outside. Damn. The exterior of the station looks a bit underwhelming compared to the rich interiors. I'm guessing they spared their expenses for the inside. We're near what appears to be a pointy fence gun, although from the antiquated looks of the turrets, I don't think it could defend this point or any. XB12 walks off in the distance and plops down the targets a couple of meters apart from one another. He marks his way back to us. Now one per target, one shot at a time. Ready, aim, fire. Cat F21, I didn't expect it to be such a shot. What a promising cadet you're turning out to be. What's your secret? I think it's the fact that I'm looking directly down the sights when I'm shooting. I find that it helps a lot. But aren't you afraid the recoil of the rifles will bruise your cheek? I mean, it's laser gun, right? I didn't feel a kick at all. Damn it, you're right. How did I not think of it? Rink chimes in. You guys are operating using tactics and doctrines that are hundreds of years out of date. Your old guns must have had a hell of recoil, and somehow you still remember that? I'm not exactly pleased to have him intrude in our private conversation, but he makes a good point. I guess this explains why the aliens are considered such good shots. Extraordinary marksman, my smooth ass. XB12 looks in the distance, rubbing his chin. Yes. That'll take some training to get it out of the new clones. Imprinted memory. He puts a hand on my shoulder. Good thing you're showing how it's done, Cat. I turn a very nice shade of pink, but say nothing. I look around my new quarters as I step through the door. It doesn't feel like home yet, but I guess things change fast around here. I feel drained from my day. The pictures on the walls are smiling at me. It is oddly comforting. I fiddle with the holoscreen for a moment, checking tomorrow's schedule. Looks like the big item of the day is another dance class. It is simply called dance, in a rather understated fashion. The last time I attempted dancing it went moderately well. But hey, that's a problem for another day. I survived today, I'll do my best tomorrow. I lay down on the bed and close my eyes. This time, my sleep is peaceful. The dance lesson is about to start. This is a smaller area of the concourse, off to one side and away from the foot traffic. The setting fits the occasion as there are far fewer of my classmates here. It's about a dozen clones, all told, including my classmates. Headmaster Eternus P02, and strangely Master Sergeant XB12? This is the new dance that has taken the court by storm. Our beloved benevolent brother loves it. Being new, it is pretty different from what you are accustomed to. There are no expectations of success for any of you going in. However, it will be the dance we perform when he comes to review the cadets, so make sure you do not embarrass me, lest you suffer the consequences. This dance is called a La Volta. It is a dance for couples. I can hear appreciative ahs coming from all around me. Couple dance? There's someone I'd like to get closer to, I guess. In this dance, the partners salute each other in a saunter, a deliberately slow skipping, parading for the benefit of the audience and showing their fitness. Then they get closer to one another and pivot around a central point. The leader is facing the follower and puts his hands on each of the follower's hips. The follower is facing the leader's right and places his closest hand on the leader's shoulders. Both turn around the same spot while walking forward. Every 3 steps, the leader lifts the follower into the air to display his strength and show his partner to the audience. He pauses. It is of utmost importance that you lift me as high as you can, of course. The follower must follow the leader and spring just before he lifts to ensure maximum effect. Repeat the simple sequence until the music stops. Salute. Simple as can be. This time with actual instructions, it does seem pretty simple. I mean, I hope I won't make a fool of myself again, but it sounds fairly straightforward. You prance about and then grab your partner and lift him in the air a bunch. Eternus P0 turns to me. KiteKid F21. Are you feeling confident enough to lead a couple? Yes, sir. Impressive. You may pick a partner. Oh wow, just like that? Huh? Let's see. Wait. I guess X-B12 likes me, so I should better pick him, right? I choose Master Sergeant X-B12. X-B12 seems surprised, but he breaks into a smile. Right on. One after the other, the rest of the dancers select a partner. Eternus P0 pairs with one of my classmates, who is cooling in delight. We form two concentric circles, with the leaders on the outside. Eternus P02 reaches down to the holopad on his belt, presses the button and the music starts. I'm just a tad nervous. We salute and start circling each other, making sure to show off our clothes to an imaginary audience. I notice that X-B12 is wearing the same armored suit as usual, which surely cannot be his dress uniform. Are there dress uniforms for probationary officers? I've gotta look into that. He does not seem to care either way. We step close and I put my hands on his hips. He puts his hands on my shoulder, and there it rests, calloused by use and almost twice as big as mine. He gives me an encouraging smile, which I return. 2, 3, and lift. I tighten my grip on X-B12's hips and raise him up. At least I do my best to try and raise him up. He's much heavier than I expected, and even with my help, barely clears 20 centimeters. The lift lasts only for an instant and then I put him down. He touches down with a bit of force and gives me an apologetic look. He leans in. The secret, if you struggle to lift your partner, is to boost him up with your knee as you lift. Say what? Just use your knee to push me up. How? Push under my butt with it. What? Yup. He winks at me. Okay. I've got my work cut out for me. Still, I appreciate him trying to help. 2, 3 and lift. With his trick, it's a lot easier and I can boost him as high as any other couple. I push him in the air just a little bit higher, then put him down. My knee feels weird, having touched his muscular rear end. Both my knees feel a little weird, really. You're a good partner, KiteKid F21. I mean, a good dancer, I mean. Oh god. Alright, do something flirty, I guess. Pretty sure I know what he means. Smile coldly. I simply smile at him before looking away, and back at him again. He has the surprised face that says he's not sure what my smiles mean. I wink at him playfully. You're not too bad yourself, X-B12. His grin is so genuine that I can't help but mirror it. 2, 3 and lift. I prop him up for as long as I can. We step away from each other and salute. With you by my side on the battlefield, I'm sure I can take on anyone. Is he blushing? Wow. My head is spinning slightly and I'm all red in the cheek, which is unseemly for one of us. This, however, was very fun and enlightening. We all salute one another, and Eternus P02 leads a round of polite clapping. Every me seems very pleased with themselves. After all these emotions, I decide to head home to relax. I step out of my clothes and into the shower and turn the water on. Soon the cabin is covered in steam. I stand a long time under the water. I've been hearing about today's class for days. It's simply called cooking, but from what I've gathered, the title is deceptive. The object of the class is not to cook for oneself. We're actually supposed to be learning how to prepare an entire banquet in honor of Horatio Prime. The deadline is coming up and every me is a little feverish. Several advanced classes are devoted to this occasion, but thankfully I am not stuck with valeting or another of these lesser tasks. Still, the expectations are huge for this job. The food has to be made exactly to his liking. Arrive at the right temperature, in a deft dance of dishes orchestrated by the valets, and then whisked away before he gets bored with them. It's all about managing expectations, and delivering. Speaking of delivering, I better hurry if I want to be there on time. I am surprised to find Targus F07 leading the kitchen when I get there. He doesn't seem happy. Darian F19 and a few of my classmates are running around, holding plates of sliced vegetables and pieces of meat. Tension is palpable. KiteKat F21, it's nice of you to finally join us. Care to explain where you were 12 minutes ago when we started prepping? You will address me as Junior Probation Assistant Petty Officer Margaret KiteKat F21. And you will check that attitude at the door, or I swear to him your smooth ass will be the main cause. This is my kitchen. Do as you're told, or else. I don't need a picture. I grab a knife and start peeling super spots. Darren F19 puts a hand on my shoulder and whispers. Better not get in the way when he's like this. Where was this warning a minute ago? I'm just saying. Targus F07 has been around a long time, and he's in charge of many things. Sometimes you'd better just play along and keep a low profile. Is the hierarchical structure always this messy? If you never know who your boss is or who you should be taking orders from, it really helps the people at the top, and it keeps you on your toes. That's super dumb. Preaching to the core, brother. Also, don't use that knife to peel vegetables. You'll maim yourself. Here, take this one instead. I put the knife down and grab a ladle instead. That looks like my kind of tool. I walk up to Targus F07, show my ladle and raise a questioning eyebrow. I'm trying to steer things up again. Ha! I get it, but I'm not even going to gratify him with a smile. He indicates a pan where a thick orange creamy goop is simmering. Make sure that sauce doesn't stick to the bottom of the pan. Watch it like your future depends on it. It does. I hurry over and plunge my ladle in. Yeah, let's sneak a taste. I bring the ladle to my lips when no one is looking. Tastes like someone put a used towel through a strainer and sprinkled oatmeal on top of the resulting juice. It is revolting. I absolutely 100% regret this decision. I drop the ladle back in the pan and pretend nothing has happened. I start staring. The first course of dishes has been laid out in an artful manner on a set of silver platters. A group of my classmates, presumably from the valeting class, or maybe reception protocol, arrive to whisk them away to the concourse, where the banquet will be taking place. They are staging a dress rehearsal with Eternus P02 playing the role of the Emperor. Everybody from my batch will be taking part. If the Emperor is pleased with us, he will look favorably on our cadet crew joining the Interspecies Academy. We've still been told next to nothing about this academy, so I'm guessing that part comes after the official banquet. As I've often heard around here, we better not mess this up. I'm feeling a bit sweaty after spending the better part of the day in the kitchen. Targus F07 said that on the day of the real banquet, we'd have a solid 20 minutes to dash back to our quarters and take a shower. Then he added that if it had been on time, a shower might have been possible. It's not a big deal. It's just a rehearsal after all. Soon enough we'll go home and bath. We all arrayed in front of long tables in the concourse with the food we've been prepared tantalizingly close. We cannot touch it yet, as all dishes have to be proposed to Horatio first, so that he may decide whether they are worthy of him or not. The smells make my mouth water. I am standing close to the front of the line, with Turgus F-07 to my left, and Darien F-19 to his left. Exodus B-12 is approaching with Eternus P-02, presumably telling the Emperor's stand and how competent and worthy we are. We are the best of the best, or I am the best of the best. I am just the best of the best. I have shown on several occasions that I think faster and act smarter than any of my classmates. There is only one person better than me in this whole empire, and I cannot wait to meet him. Eternus P-02 stops in front of the assembly and gives us one of his enigmatic smiles. I'm not sure if the smile is an imperial affection or just that he's having fun. At a signal from Exodus B-12, we'll all blow deeply to our Emperor. He clears his throat lightly. My dear subjects and brothers, it is a great honor to be with you on this auspicious day. I settle in for a long speech and start daydreaming about I guess we're daydreaming about Exodus B-12 muscular physique. The sound of a body hitting the marble floor pulls me out of my reverie. The cadet far to my left has collapsed and is quickly surrounded by others. I join in the crowd. The cadet is all unmoving, all purple, his features deformed by a ghastly grimace. Exodus B-12 pushes his way through the group. What happened here? I don't know, sir, he just fell to the floor all of a sudden. I saw him grab something from the table. Exodus B-12 slides a finger between the body's lip and pulls it out. It is covered in thick orange goop. My heart sinks. That's the sauce I was stirring earlier. Poison? The other cadet starts whispering urgently to one another. I can hear several different rumors being spun right this instant. But I tasted the sauce too and I didn't die. It must have been poisoned after I was done with. Unless... Put a hand over my chest. My heartbeat is a staccato, but apart from a sudden burst of stress, I don't feel like I'm about to die. Eternus P-02 steps closer. What happened, Master Sergeant? I believe that the food was poisoned. Given the current circumstances, the only possible culprit is a brother of the Empire, a saboteur in our midst. The crowd around us explodes in gasps and cries of alarm. The rumor-mongering doubles in urgency. Exodus B-12 points at the dead body. If this one had respected protocol, the first person to have tried the food would have been you, Grand Headmaster. Eternus P-02 pales slightly. Every meet to your personal quarters. You will be contacted when we have assessed the situation. Master Sergeant, come with me to my office. He looks around. Where's Kite Cat F-21? Let's step out. Should not be suspicious. Time to take responsibility for whatever happened. I'll get a better chance of explaining things from my perspective if I'm cooperating. I'm here, sir. Come with us. How does he know? What does he know? The trip to Eternus P-02's quarters is even quieter than the first time I went there, which is saying something. Eternus P-02 and Exodus B-12 are whispering to one another while walking, but I can't catch what they are saying. Once again we step through an unmarked door and into Eternus P-02's quarters. I don't know whether I'm going to get chewed out again or if maybe they think I've done it. If that's the case, then bad stuff is about to happen. I notice that the headmaster and I are alone. Where's Exodus B-12? The Master Sergeant has stepped out for a moment to oversee the other cadets. He will be back. Eternus P02 gestures for me to sit on one of the low couches and paces back and forth. After a couple of laps around the room, he stops in front of me. Poisoning the sauce, huh? The situation is rather unsavory. I wince at the pun. Come on, Kite Cat F21. It was a pretty good one. And I'm not even to get a smile? I'll look him in the eye. Shouldn't you be a little more concerned about what just happened? He looks away for a moment and eventually shrugs and nods. Probably. He sits down on the couch. You should know, though, that this is a relatively common occurrence in the Empire, and that I'm not entirely unprepared. How so? For a start, the probability of actually dying from direct poisoning is actually minimal. This extraordinary coincidence that a brother just happened to break protocol and taste the foods, it happens every single time. An enterprising brother will think that they absolutely deserve to just try it, that no one will notice. That is the sole reason for the protocol that says that the highest authority in the room should taste the food first to even exist. Yes, you would have known that, had you shown up for my class on Startup Imperialism. Clones are so predictable. There is someone, though, who is an enigma to me. He slides closer. Oh no, yes. Oh yes? We're finally somewhere, just the two of us. This is definitely happening. Not even a dead clone could get between us. Alright, the dead clone, damn it. What about the saboteur? Turner's P02 expression makes him look like he's just stepped on a snail. Right. Business before pleasure. He straightens up. It is easy enough, Kite Cat F21. You have proven to be a loyal subject. And you are smart. You are obviously not quite perfect, although. But I digress. I want you to identify the saboteur, see if he has any accomplices, and deal with the situation. Put an end to it for good. Be my inside man, if you will. What do you say? He winks at me. My body's ready. Oh shit. The door to the office suddenly opens and X-Rust B12 barks in. Grand Headmaster. It is just X-Rust B12. It's just us, X-Rust B12. You can call me Sir. Sir, I've just received word that one of our deep space proximity sensors has been triggered. It seems that a fleet appears past nearby, headed straight for the station. From the footage, it appears to be a raiding party. Most probably Voltor's pirates. Voltors? Have we not bought peace from these dirty imbeciles? I believe they took offense at the recent splicing of their colonists in the Iridian region. Wait. Their territory is halfway across the quadrant. How could their fleet venture this far from home? Our spies at the Academy report that they possess their technology to build portals that allow the instantaneous transport of ships from one portal to another. This would explain how they bypassed our defenses and reached this deep into the Empire. Are these Voltor's pirates the reason our training fleet went missing last month? It would certainly make sense, sir. I've called the Imperial fleet, but it is half a day away at best. That's why we need to prepare right away. Well, go and do that then. We are busy here. I was hoping to enlist the help of the cadets, sir. Oh. Is there a problem? I was about to assign our young prodigy to a very special insider mission with regards to our saboteur, just before you stormed in. He has shown himself to be very resourceful. That's why I need his help, sir. Our defense systems are pretty bare given the lack of maintenance in recent times. Also, I'll need a shock team if things get ugly. You've seen him during fleet maneuvers. Cadet has the mind of a great tactician. And the way he used a rifle. It's like he was born with one in each hand. Given the circumstances, it's crucial that we focus our efforts on protecting the station from this attack. Very well then. What about you, Cat F-21? What do you think your talents would be best used for? I have many talents. Making decisions quickly is not among them. Which way should we choose? I guess we should go with extras, right? He's our buddy after all. I should help defend the station. I will come with you and help shore up the station's defenses, Master Sergeant. Extras B12 gives me another of his childish greens. Colonel P02 stays silent, but the corner of his mouth reveals his feelings on the matter. Right? That's great. Come on, there is not a minute to spare. We dash out of the room. Oh no. Once outside and safely out of earshot, Extras B12 puts a hand on my shoulder. Hey, are you okay, Cat F-21? I'm better now, thanks. I don't like the way he looks at me. He sighs deeply. It's difficult to say no to him. Around here, brothers usually do everything they can to win his favor. He's in charge after all. Still, I'm happy you showed up. The next few minutes are spent in silence. We pass from one hallway to the next, traversing the station at a brisk pace. The place is conspicuously empty. Where's everyone? Either getting ready or in a corner, cowering in fear. Mostly covering in fear. Do we have a security team or something? A marine detail? We do have guards, and they're the guys who are carrying the hardest, who are crying the hardest. They've used guns before, and they know what kind of holes they can make in a pretty face. More seriously, I'm unable to reach them entirely. We don't have the time to figure out what happened to them just now. So who's actually going to defend the station? He gives me a pointed look. Just you and me? Come on. What about a crack team of sharpshooters? The funny looking little guy and the Ice Queen. They're nowhere to be found either. I'm guessing their desertion means they're okay with playing simulation for us, but not too eager to actually get hurt for the Empire. A shame, but we'll have to deal with them later. So what can we do? What can we actually do? First off, we're going to gear up. We plotted the enemy fleet to arrive within the next few hours, but it's possible they've picked up speed since. We need to be ready to fight. We round the corner and step through the door marked Small Arms Locker 4. The room is covered in weapon shelves, rifle racks and assorted ordnance shelves, but there are no guns left. Somebody already helped themselves, it seems. It's good to see that at least some of the brothers on the stations are gearing up to fight with us. Fight with us or fight us? I have a bad feeling about this. A sensation that things may be just a little more complicated under the surface. I snap out of it. Now's not the time. Still no weapons. We'll have to improvise. He pulls a heavy-looking armored case and lifts it without even breaking sweat. He puts it on a small trolley and pulls it behind him. Okay, what now? We're going to the one place where I know for sure there'll be weapons, and we're heading out. We need to fix the point defense turret close to the hangar bay. The one next to where we had a guns class? Yes, that one. He leaves the room and I follow. Are there no other turrets? Not anymore. A few years back, it was decided that they were sticking out too much. Made the station look ugly. Mostly it was the autoloaders that took up space in the hallways of the desks, immediately below the turrets. They were decommissioned and taken apart. How did this one survive then? I argued we needed it for a target practice. Clever. So what needs fixing? Well, the only way Eternus P02 accepts my request was if the autoloader was removed as well, so we need to reload the magazine manually. I look at the case he's pulling behind him. These? By hand? Yes, and from outside. Come on, the airlock is this way. If we survive the coming storm, a lot of things are going to change around here. Extras B12 leads the way to airlock A38. Stashed neatly in his locker, an array of ways to hurt people is waiting for us. I'm ashamed to admit it, but sometimes it was just more convenient to keep gear here, rather than having to lug it around the station. It did come in handy in the end, didn't it? I will not report this breach of protocol, Master Sergeant. I grab a rifle and a couple of hand grenades. Extras B12 takes a sleek-looking handgun for himself. I offer to swap guns. Keep it. You're the better shot anyway. Let's suit up. We start putting on our vac suits. My eyes wander around the airlock and eventually land on Extras B12's naked muscular back. I had almost forgotten about his huge scar. It's moving slowly, pushed around by his muscles. There is a hypnotic quality to this palette, and for a moment I get lost in the sinuous movement of the mark. I snap out of it when I hear his voice. Hey, Cat F21, are you with me? Till death do us part. That catches him off guard. Is he blushing? He looks away for a brief moment, composing himself. He clears his throat. Very well, let's go. We put on our helmets and head out, pulling the armored case along. Up close, the situation is not that bad. Yes, the turret looks ancient, but when Extras B12 presses the control of the side hatch, it hisses open straight away. Right, now to lower the turret's drum. Kite F21, can you open the case and hand me the rockets one at a time? Sure. I flick the latches and lift the lid. Do as I'm told. Do you think a lonely turret can do anything to hold off a raiding fleet? On its own, not really. They fire using a proximity sensor to detect threats, so they're not really aiming at anything in particular. Back when there were a couple of dozens, the space outside the station would be saturated with enough explosive ammo to shoot anything off the sky. Now, well, maybe a lucky hit. Is it possible to manually control the turret? He considers this for a second. Why, I think it is. Yes. From inside the station where the autoloader system used to be. You want to give it a try? We have a better chance at disabling an enemy ship if we actually aim at it. Rather than hope a single rocket at a time is enough for saturation fire, don't we? That's right. The station sensors haven't located the fleet yet. So they are at least an hour out still. That's more than enough time to switch controls to manual. Let's head back in. We hurry inside. I remove my helmet and drop it at my feet. I'm peeling off the top half of my vac suit when I notice Extras B12 looking intently at me from 2 feet away. I turn around to face him. Listen, Kite F21. We are facing a very significant challenge, you and me. We are this station's first and possibly last line of defense, and... He fumbles for words. What I'm saying is, there's a good chance we, or one of us, might not make it. He extends an arm in my direction. I can't help but look at the strong calloused fingers as they approach. They land on my shoulder, which he squeezes gently. This might be a real Kobayashi Sophon with no happy ending. I will fulfill the mission parameters, Extras B12. I've done it once. Regardless of what happens. Time to kiss ourselves. I look him in the eye. We are closer than we've ever been. It is now or never. There's something I really want to do. I lean forward, looking at his half-open mouth. I close my eyes and press my lips against his. He tenses up for a second, then relaxes. His lips push back against mine. I feel my heart pounding, thumping inside my chest and threatening to burst out. I know by now that I'm definitely flush-trashed in the cheeks, but now, right now, I don't care. I want him to see me flustered. I want him to see me. I want him, period. The blaring of the alarm brings us back to the here and now. I reluctantly tear myself from Exos B12's embrace, my body aching for the warmth of his powerful arms. The station proximity sensors. They're within 1,000,000 kilometers now. We better get to the turret control system fast. Timing is not ideal. I shimmy back into my uniform, cursing pirates and responsibilities. We jog out of the room. There is a station to save. The control panel is not particularly hard to locate or even difficult to open. And I once again think that the security systems in this place are one hell of a mess. Exos B12 fiddles with something inside the panel, and then turns to me. Alright, KiteCat F21, here's how it works. This stick is point and shoot. This button is radar feedback with the indicator immediately above it flashing green when the radar hits something. Here on the right is the radar screen, showing the station's surroundings. Where's the camera screen? There is no such thing. If the turret detects something in front of it with the radar, it fires at rockets. When there's a volley of couple hundred missiles flying, that's enough to do the job. Defenses like these, it's a wonder you guys didn't get attacked earlier. What? Sudden beep on the radar demands our attention. 1, 2, 3 dots emerge on the screen. That's it. They're in firing range. I grab the stick and I get busy. A few minutes or an hour later, the turret is silent. We're all out of rockets. With my instruments, I can only guess at the state of the enemy fleet. One of the dots has disappeared altogether. Another one has veered significantly, of course. The last one, though, is bearing down on the station with as much intent and malice as can be packed into a blinking green dot. Exos B12 puts a hand on my shoulder. You're amazing, KiteCat F21. You're one of a kind. I don't have time to ponder this. As a flurry of beeps erupts from the one remaining ship, we hunch over the screen. What's that? Escape pods? Boarding pods. They're aimed right at us. Brace for impact. I hold onto the controls as best as I can. Are you alright? I'm fine. Sounds like it landed close. Let's go. We take off in direction of the crash. When we find the first boarding crash site, it already looks like we're too late. The alien vehicle looks like a gaping maw, the head of a gigantic worm fixated in the death rictus. But it's empty. We peer inside cautiously. Seats not unlike our own, with security straps, minimal life support and a big bulky container with the universally recognizable symbol on the side. Dust. What's this then? A dust container like this and a nasty piece of work like that? Who knows? It is dangerous. Is what it is. Don't shoot it. Don't shoot at it. The door opens at the end of the hallway and a voice erupts, immediately followed by enemy fire. They're in here! Take cover! We jump inside the boarding pod and hide behind the broad rim of the intersection. Sit rep, KiteCat F21. I take a peek over my shoulder. More shots force me back behind cover. Hard to tell. There's a bunch in the hallways already, and I could see more coming in, probably at the other boarding pods. How are they spread out? Cautiously raise my eyes to be level with the rest of my head, and then I take another glance outside. The sally of my beautiful head is met with forceful fire from the opposition. They're all coming from the hallway on the right hand side, and there's a cluster immediately in front of us stationwards. As long as they don't surround us, we can fight our way out of here. I know a good way to create some space. I take one of the grenades I stashed in my pockets and I hand it over. Know how to use these? Oh, nice. X-B12 throws in a beautiful arc, and the grenade lands right at the feet of a cluster of enemies. Grenade! In our confined space, the explosion is deafening. We're both a little shaken, but it seems to have worked. The closest pirates have pulled back around the corner. We can fight our way out with the grenades, Kite at F21. How many have we got? I grab the rest of the explosives in my pocket and look at them. So, we've got more high explosive grenade, and this one is some sort of flare. And that's a beacon flare for training exercises. That makes it one useful grenade. It's not much, but we can use it. It's not much indeed. We look at one another. So how do we play this? If we can use this grenade to push them back, we could dash to the end of the hallway we came from. Escape from there, try to regroup with whoever is in fighting shape. Do you hear any commotion? I don't think there's much fighting going on. In that case, we hold up somewhere we can defend and wait for reinforcements from the Imperial fleet. The question is, what part of the station is easily defensible by an outnumbered group? The lab maybe? I didn't think of it, but yeah. Maybe we can make it work. Get ready. He throws the grenade with consummate elegance. The Voltus pirates dive behind cover as our best chance to make it out alive clears the way. We're about to leap out of the pot when the door we're aiming for opens. Horatio soldiers are brandishing the weapons we thought lost. I notice it's not only brothers. They're accompanied by Rick and Tora. We're saved. I raise an arm and wave them down. Same team. Darren F19 smirks at me. You think? He levels his weapon in our direction, and we hastily retreat back into the pot. We gave you a chance, Kite F21. We really did. You had potential. You were different. But no matter how many overtures we made, this is what you choose. Yeah, you know, things have changed around here. Things are going to change even more. With the help of these gentlefolk, we will take over the station and... Hold on a minute. Female raider stands up and takes a step towards the rebellious clones. We're not staying here. Our fleet has taken one hell of a beating and we are intercepted communications between the station and a relief squadron headed straight for us. But the deal... The deal was we'd help you muscle your way out and grant you safe passage out of here in exchange for you helping us carry out our raid. We're here for the cloning technology. What about the station? What about the rebellion? In your little space station right in the middle of the Horatio Empire? Do you guys think you stand a chance when word gets out? She barks a brief bitter laugh. Therein F19 looks from her in shame, and his gaze lands straight on us. Very well, in that case, there's just one last thing to take care of before we move on. Uh-oh. I duck back behind the rim of the pot and lay down some covering fire. The tactical situation is grim. Never tell me the odd extras B12. What do you mean? What were the odds we'd find each other? He smiles at me in a sad yet comforting way. I'm not about to let you go. I took around us at the inside of the pod to try and find our next move. We're trapped inside a crashed boarding pod, like a wobbly cork plugging a hole in the side of a ship, more or less. There's the life support system with its oxygen tanks. There's the dust container with all manner of warning stickers on the sides. And there's the flare. I know what we're gonna do. Keep them at bay, I've got an idea. I ripped the hose from the oxygen tank and hide behind one of the seats to unscrew the release valve of the dust container. Both release their contents into the cabin with a sharp hiss. I take the flare out of my pocket. Are you sure about this, KiteKat F21? Look at it this way. If we fail, we'll never know. I pull the cap of the flare off and tuck it under the ignition pin. Take my hand, Extras B12. I wake up with a start. I am in the lab? Extras B12 sidles up to me before I can ask myself any other questions. He has a small bandage on his beautiful rugged forehead, but seems otherwise unharmed. You're finally awake. Good. What happened? You mean after we blasted our way into outer space? As you probably planned for, everyone in the corridor was vented into space by the decompression. That took care of a lot of our problems. I'm not sure about the exact timeline of events after that, but the Imperial fleet arrived shortly after. The Volta's fleet was gone by then, although I'm not sure what happened to the specific people. Their corpses are probably still zooming around the system. How did we survive? From what I've been told, they found us unconscious and covered in dust, but otherwise mostly unharmed. Seems to have saved us from both the explosion and the subsequent exposure. And what happens now? Well, it seems we've absorbed quite a lot of dust before they fished us out of the boarding pod, you and I. They want to study the effects this had on us. And you're definitely going to the academy. For me, I've heard a promotion is in order. And there's someone very special who has come to see you. The sound of footsteps make him look to the side. He turns back to me. He's here. He bows deeply. I look up from him to see our brother, our god, Horatio Prime himself. He's even more handsome than I thought. I didn't even see him, no. But we did it. We're gonna go to the academy. We're gonna become a hero. Like in Endless Space 2. Now I wanna play Endless Space 2, the Horatio. Man, that was really good. Anyways, thank you for watching. I'm pretty sure there are a lot more ends to this game. Let me know in the comments if you want me to look at the other ends. And thank you for watching, guys. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out, KiteKat8.